everyone, it's me again. I'm Lena and I'm from the Healthcare Landscape group. In this video, I'm going to be talking about my third day edition, which is on Exponents Part 8. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the D3 that Mrs. Pratt sent in for us for week 66. In this video, I'm going to cover 7 main questions that Mrs. Pratt sent out for us to solve. Firstly, for the first problem, which is 7 to the power of 4 in parentheses times 8 minus 2 to the power of 3 in parentheses plus 11 to the power of 4 in parentheses times 8 close the parentheses minus 32. And this will equal 1. Why does it equal 1? Well, even though this problem seems a little bit complicated at first, you need to look closely into the question. For example, 8 minus 2 to the power of 3 is 8 minus 8, so that is 0. And any number times 0 is 0. So here's 0, the first one is 0. And then we have 4 times 4 and in parentheses 8, which it means that 32. So 32 minus 32 is 0, and 11 to the power of 0 is 1. So 1 plus 0 equals 1, and that is my answer for problem number 1. Problem number 2. Well, problem number 2 is like a review of last week. For example, 2 to the power of minus 1 in parentheses to the power of 11 will equal what? Well, I have the answer of a half. Why is it a half? Well, let me show you here. It's the reciprocal. Basically, we'll count out this first. Negative 1 times 11 will equal negative 1. And 2 to the power of negative 1 will equal 1 over 2 to the power of negative 1, which will equal 2 to the power of 1, which will equal 1 1/2. And there we go. That is for our second question. Also the next question for also the question number 2 is that 1/4 or a quarter in parentheses to the power of negative 3 will equal what? Firstly, just like this, imagine the 1/4 as a big X. So we will have X 1 over 4 over 3. And this will equal 1 divided by, this will equal 1 divided by 3, 4 to the power of 3, which will equal 1 times 4 to the power of 3, and 4 to the power of 3 will equal 64. And that is my answer for problem number 2. Problem number 3. Problem number 3 is if x equals 1, y equals negative 1, then what is the answer for this problem on the board? Well, for the first equal sign, I translated out what is x, what is y, and yeah, I basically wrote down x, y, x, y, x, y, x, y. What does it stand for? And then I simplified it. I simplified it to just negative 15 plus negative 18 plus 27. And of course, when you add 2 negative numbers together, it will have a large negative number, which is the negative 33 plus 27, which will leave us with negative 6. Problem number 4. Problem number 4 have 3 main questions. Problem number A. Problem A is 1 over 5 to the power of negative 2 times 5 to the power of 2 will equal, well, just like I said before, let me give the formula here. X to the power of negative 1, for example, will equal 1 over x to the power of 1. And yeah, and this applies with this too. So we'll view the 1.5 as a big x. And so 1 over 1 to the power 5 to the power of 2 times 5 to the power of 2 will equal 1, will equal, on the board here we have 1 divided by, because if we put this here, if we put it that way, it will also equal 1 divided by 1.5 to the power of 2 times 5 to the power of 2. And this will equal 5 to the power of 2 times 5 to the power of 2, which will equal 5 to the power of 2 plus 2, and that will equal 5 to the power of 4. That is for problem number A. Problem B is a bit different, but its first one is the first part is similar. Here's problem B. We have 1 over 4 to the power of -3 times x times y times 3. This will equal 4 to the power of 3, because I translated this out to 4 to the power of 3 times x times y times 3, which I will use 4 to the power of 3 times 3 will equal 64 times 3, and this will equal 192 xy. Problem number C. Problem number C is about a half to the power of -3 plus 2 to the power of 6 times 4 to the power of 2 times 2 to the power of 3 times 2 to the power of 2 in parentheses to the power of 2. So, just like the other problems, we translated this out. The first part here, I brought this down and then translated this out so they have the common root number. So, for example, 4 to the power of 2 will equal 2 to the power of 2 in parentheses to the power of 2. And this will equal 2 to the power of 4. And 2 to the power of 4 times 2 to the power of 3, and we'll translate this out to 2 to the power of 4. This will equal 2 to the power of 3. Here we have the number is 8. The answer is 8, and I translated out to the root number of 2, and we have 2 to the power of 3 plus 2 to the power of 16. And this will equal 2 to the power of 3 times 1 plus 2 to the power of 14. And that is my answer for the problem number C, problem C. So for the fifth problem onwards, I think that I will show you in the paper so that I won't need to erase all of this and waste plenty of time that I can use. So firstly, we have the problem number 5. This will equal 2 to the power of 2 times 4 to the power of 2 plus, this is the problem. Here's the problem. And here's how I calculated it. I know it's a bit difficult at first, and I find it difficult as well. But if we look closely at the problem, I do need some help with my mother on this. And my answer is 2 to the power of 1024 times 512 with the exclamation point. Why the exclamation point? Because 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 times 6 until we get to 512. We don't write all of those numbers out. Instead, scientists came up with the idea of this. Mathematicians came up with the idea with the exclamation point, telling us that all of these numbers multiply together until we get to 512. That is my answer for problem number 5. Problem number 6. Well, problem number 6 and 7 are very easy. They're similar. We'll just find those numbers. For example, a squared times b times 8ab to the power of 6 times c to the power of 2 will equal a times a times a, which will equal a to the power of 3, because this is a to the power of 1, and a to the power of 2 times a to the power of 1 is a to the power of 3. And then we have b to the power of 6 times b, which will equal b to the power of 1, which will equal b to the power of 7, as you can see here. And then we'll copy this into the next one, and this will equal a cubed times b to the power 7, c squared, and 2 cubed. Lastly, for problem number 7, we have a to the power of 2 to the power of 4, which will equal a to the power of 8, because we will use the powers of the rule for the powers of powers, times a to the power of 3, which will equal a to the power of 11. The basic rules of adding and subtracting, multiplying and dividing exponents. Then we have times b to the power of 3. This is also another way to calculate, to use for multiplying, times c to the power of 3. This will equal a to the power of 11 times b to the power of 3 times c to the power of 3. And that is all my answers that I have solved for the D3 this week. Thank you for listening to my video, and if you have any other suggestions for improvement or any answers you want to ask me, then I would be glad to hear. Thank you again for listening to my video, and I hope to see you in the next meeting or next video. Goodbye, see you later.